Hi, I'm Christopher from Eerie Visions Paranormal, and one of the most common sort of questions that I get from friends when asking about what I do is, what do all of the different devices do, and what's the significance of each bit of equipment. So I thought that I'd do a basic kind of review for just the basic to intermediate sort of equipment that we often use on investigations. Right, so I'm going to start with what I feel is probably the most important piece of equipment, and that's the audio recorder. Now, there's all different types that you can get. This one here is the Philips VoiceTracer, and this one here has two microphones just in the end there, so it's omnidirectional with the way it picks up sound. It can also record in MP3 or WAV file format, so very handy, especially when it comes to trying to enhance the audio later on. WAV format is an uncompressed file, so you're going to get way more out of it. So the second audio recorder that I'll talk about is this one here. Now, this is just a little Sony. Now, a lot of paranormal investigators will swear by this brand, and the simple fact that this has got a great success rate when it comes to capturing EVPs. Like the Philips, it has two microphones at the top here. These take an SD card as well, so you can quite literally record maybe like a whole year's or more worth of investigations, depending on how busy you are. Very useful. One thing that the Sony offers though that the other two audio recorders don't is this here. In the back there's a built-in USB which just slides on out, and if you're in a hurry to take files off this because you need to start recording more files or whatever, this is very handy because you can just plug it straight into your computer and take the files off. Now, the last audio recorder that I'm going to talk about today is the Olympus. Now, this particular model is the best that you can get, basically. This is my personal favorite, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Now, unlike the Sony and the Philips, this one cannot take an external SD card, so you are limited to how much you can record. But the internal memory is 4 gigs, which when you're talking about audio is quite a bit. I think it's somewhere near around 200 hours. I mean, it's only a little thing, it's quite inexpensive to buy. But what this offers that the other two audio recorders don't is extremely sensitive low-end frequency recording. Now, basically, low-end frequencies are inaudible to the human ear. So, if you're in a haunted location and then EVPs are coming through at a low-end frequency, you're not going to hear it when you're there. However, with this, I've been able to actually catch an EVP on this that I didn't hear when I was there, play it back, and then hear it. So it's very handy. So while on the subject of audio, another really important and often overlooked piece of equipment are these headphones. Like, yes, they're great for reviewing your evidence after an investigation, but they're also very handy at an investigation. Now, any headphones will do. You can use earbuds, headphones like these, or pretty much anything that puts the sound directly to your ears. Now, sometimes when you're trying to hear something play back on your recorders, it's quite difficult to hear, especially if you're outdoors. You got a lot of background noise, possibly wind, animals, etc. So having a pair of headphones can really be a lifesaver. You know, these particular ones are noise cancellation, so they'll basically block out anything that is happening around you. Another thing also that these are good for, which more and more investigators are doing every day, is sensory deprivation. Well, probably more of an advanced technique. That's basically where you need at least another investigator. One of you connects the spirit box to the headphones and just listens blindfolded, while the other person in the next room asks questions. Now, that's a very interesting type of technique, and I've seen some really interesting results from it. So yeah, definitely an investment. The last bit of audio equipment, or should I say EVP equipment, that I think every ghost hunter needs is this little baby, SB7. This little gadget here not only works as a spirit box that runs through radio frequencies, but this also has a built-in temperature gauge. So if you're there on an investigation and say you're asking a question, you're not getting a verbal answer, but you feel the temperature change, this will pick up the drop. So quite useful little gadget, one of my favorites. So now I'd like to talk about visual cameras. Now, there's different types of cameras that you can use, and the most popular and the most, I guess, effective when it comes to ruling out if something is just a light glare on the lens or insects flying around is full spectrum. Now, full spectrum camera you can buy yourself from, you know, anywhere, any ghost hunting equipment shop that you can online, but you can also make your own, and a lot of people are using these now, little GoPros, and they're quite easy to make into a full spectrum camera. And basically, they just come out, and that's all there is to them. You know, you pull them all apart, take the battery out, and yeah, I mean, inexpensive little versions of these are quite handy to convert over to full spectrum. Now, another type of camera that people are converting are these really cheap little handy cams, and as you can see, this one here has a little battery slot in it, and so people are basically buying these for like $10, $20 at the most, and building an external battery pack and hooking that up to them, so that, you know, you don't have to rely on AAA or AA batteries to run it. It's a very inexpensive way to create a full spectrum or night vision camera. However, the quality of these is quite low. So, you know, for the sake of quality, I would recommend converting something that's a more known brand that already take battery packs that you can potentially buy bigger batteries for. And these will often come with like a night vision mode already in them, like available, like basically ready to use. But if you say converted one of these to full spectrum, you not only are going to get the benefit of having a full spectrum camera and eliminating the chance of light glare and insects coming up like orbs, but you're also going to have a good quality video at the end of it. So worth thinking about when choosing your video equipment. A lot of people don't have that sort of camera, and I guess for beginners it isn't 100% needed, but a camera is definitely needed. You could catch an EVP or capture some audio phenomena on your recorders, but it always pays off to have video support, what you call it, as well, so that people can see for themselves that there was no one else there making them noises that you caught. So, you know, all else fails and you just got a normal camera, one of these LED lights, quite bright, $50. So, you know, you can't go wrong. Also, everybody has a phone, right? So phone cameras are good too. You can get little tripods for them and everything. So, you know, that's a bit of advice that I would have to say to anybody starting out doing ghost hunting. Always have a camera. Now onto EMF detectors. Basically, for those that don't know what an EMF detector does, basically it reads electromagnetic energy. And say you're in a house that's got dodgy wiring in the walls, when you go near these areas in the house with one of these detectors, it'll start lighting up or buzzing and letting you know that there's electromagnetic energy radiating from that spot. Now, a lot of people, when they walk into these electromagnetic fields, start feeling sick, feel like weird, basically. And a lot of the time they think that there's ghosts there that are making them feel like that, or that there's some sort of energy anyway that's making them feel like that. And a paranormal investigator can that's one of the first things that they can debunk. If there's bad wiring in the wall, one of these EMF detectors are going to go off every time that detector's pointed at the wall, or like a socket, or in the ceiling, or anywhere for that matter. Now, that's not always the case though. So say you go to an investigation where it's an old building and there's no electricity, or the power's being cut off. You go around and you're not getting them EMF readings in normal places like walls or ceilings and light sockets, etc. But you're getting them like in the middle of say a room that, you know, it's just random, and you're getting them readings come through inconsistently. So like something is manipulating them, but that something is coming and going. That will usually indicate the presence of a spirit. So very, very handy bit of equipment. I believe anybody that's looking at doing paranormal investigating as a serious hobby or career definitely need EMF detectors. So without further ado, I'm going to go over a couple that I use. Now, the first one is the most common. You'll see this on every ghost show that there is, and that's called the K2. Now this basically has a series of coloured lights that light up. When it's on, it'll basically do its thing to show you how it's going to look if it's peeking out. And as you can see now, it's getting a bit of activity. So we might have a spirit with us right now. Okay, and this will go all the way to the red. So what that means is that the stronger an energy is, the further that goes into the red. And at right now it's going about midway to the middle here, but it's not consistent. In fact, it's stopped right now. Now it's flashing again. Now it's just flashing green. Now it's flashing to the yellow. So a good indication something's with us right now. That's cool. Alright, now I'll move on to my other detector, and this is the Rook. Now, I don't have any batteries in this right now. I keep them out of it to not drain them, but basically just has a switch at the front here, and what this part of it here will light up constantly, but this section here has lights in the middle, and the stronger that energy gets, the brighter them middle lights get. And if it gets bright enough, all of these all the way to the end will light up and it'll start buzzing. This EMF detector is very good. I have more success with this one than the K2. I believe they work in different ways. So it's almost like with the K2, it'll pick up on their energy, but they can't control what it does. It'll just pick up that there's energy there. But this one, the Rook, I've actually been able to establish yes and no baselines with spirits, where I will tell them to light it up once for yes and twice for no, and have had quite good success with it doing that. I haven't had that sort of success with the K2, but I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm pretty sure there would be investigators that have used this to establish yes and no questioning, but I personally haven't had any luck with it. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to discuss are these two-way radios. Now, again, for someone starting out, these aren't necessary at all, as a lot of people will generally only be by themselves or one other person. And I always suggest if you do have somebody else going with you, that you stay together. Not only is this good for validating each other's catches, but it's also good for safety reasons. Now, the reason for these is safety reasons, and also for really great communication when on a big investigation with 4 people, where there's 2 teams, at least 2 teams, or when you're on an investigation where there's 1 team and someone monitoring the cameras from another room or something like that. Very, very handy for that. Again, not necessary though, especially for newbies at this, but eventually these become lifesavers, literally. Okay, so that concludes my video tutorial and review today on basic to intermediate equipment. I could have discussed more things like the extras that you're going to need, like say tripods, UV lights, infrared lights, full spectrum lights, but that's something for another video. I will do another video later on where I talk more about the advanced equipment, but for today all I wanted to really do was discuss the basic to intermediate stuff. So anybody that's a newbie or looking to progress further in their ghost hunting, they can get a bit from this video, and hopefully it helps. So if you like this video, please feel free to hit a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. And for notifications, hit that little bell next to it.